What's up, everybody? It's your favorite third masterpiece combiner of the year's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Magic Square Bruticus. At least I think it's the third one, right? There was the MMC Defensor, Fans Toys Menasor, and then this one? Is that right? If I'm wrong, I apologize, in the words of Clarence Worley. Anyway, this is for my own personal collection. Won't be using the Bruticus, but these Combaticons are my personal collection. So let's go ahead, get into this so that I can get them back into bot mode and enjoy them on my shelf, you know? But there's only one way to do that, and that's to start with... Actually, let's start with building it. Alright, so let's do the legs first. This joint here just slides in and catches the little groove of Swindle. And then this one is slightly different. There's a split here that will sandwich the two components, or the two sides. There. And then sandwich that together. Legs are on. Easy peasy. Now, I had a heck of a time getting this plate to fit in around Onslaught. It's still not 100%, but I don't have it fully connected down here at the bottom, and that will allow me to slide right onto that groove there, and then clip that around to the front of it, and I guarantee you that is the best way to do it. Get it all sorted, keep a gap between this plate and Onslaught, slide it right on, connect it, and you're money. If you try to do it on here, you're going to have a heck of a time, because this neck plate is next to impossible. It's a very, very frustrating experience. So that's the smoothest I've been able to get it. I highly recommend that you use my method. Moving on to Vortex, we got to get this hand on. So there are two pegs here that go into two slots on the nose of the helicopter. So slide those on first. There. And then these pieces come around and clip on to the side. And I just have to find out where. So there's a peg right here on that whitemost section. And you just got to get them both lined up and your money. And then you're using this ridge here for that, and it just slides on, which I expected a little bit more, I'll be honest with you, but that's the way it works. Then the final arm, you had to pop this off. And then bend it so that you can get access to that groove. And then I would even try to move that up maybe an angle. Insert all the way up. Connect the purple piece back. That solidifies your connection, and then you're just solidifying the rest of Blast Off to it, and then sort of organizing your arm the way it needs to be. And that's him. I'll clean it up. We'll take a look at him. And there he is. And look, there's some stuff we got to talk about. Like, I think I think people are going to kill me, man. I think that if you like this look, well, here's my issue. This is a very cartoon accurate Bruticus, sort of. And if you wanted a very cartoon accurate Bruticus, I think you're going to be happy and disappointed simultaneously, and I'll tell you why. So I don't want a very cartoon accurate Bruticus. That's not what does it for me. However, if I did, I would want like the silver legs and gray body. There's something about this that doesn't feel like Bruticus to me from the cartoon. So that's me anyway. Then there's like the other factors of like, it doesn't have a gun, right? That'll probably come with the G1 cartoon set upgrade that you have to buy if you're interested in such things. There is a space in the head for a light up feature. However, it doesn't come with like the chip or the battery. So I was joking on Patreon, it's a DIY project, if you will, you know? And yeah, I just think that proportionately also because of the cartoon aesthetic, that it feels a little childlike in its proportions, but I think that would be okay if they gave you up front. I mean, a lot of people want that super cartoon look, right? And I think if they gave you that super cartoon look up front, you know, people would be happier with the end result, but they didn't. They gave you the kind of traditional look, and then on top of that, gave it that cartoon aesthetic, which I don't think does it any favors. Now, there's one thing I want to talk about regarding the arms before we get into articulation. This is the proper look of the arms. Like, I'm here to tell you, I think that this is a better look. And on both sides. Like, I think that that is a better look. It just makes him look a little beefier off top. And you can use the swing down hip joints for your elbow. No, it's not as sturdy as the ratchets that are meant for it, but I do think it looks better. Am I nuts? Doesn't that automatically make him look a little bit more intimidating? Am I crazy? All right, let's talk about him. And we'll get in tight on the head sculpt for Dennis, of course. Well, at least as tight as we can because my camera only goes so high. All right. So the sculpt looks fine, once again, very cartoon accurate. The head is on a hinge swivel, so you get up to there, which is fantastic. A little bit down, which is fine. You get your swivel. All of that works peachy keen, in my opinion. All right, shoulders. We'll start with blast off. So you have a ratchet. It's a soft ratchet. You get out to there. We'll back out a taste, which I think looks good. The majority of the figures are painted, as are these pieces, so it's painted. It doesn't give you that paint bang for your buck because of the type of paint that they went with, but it is painted. There, I lost my hand on that one, so we'll have to sort that out later. Let me get around here real quick. Ratcheted for 360 around. And then we'll go back and you get your elbow. But the ratchet is so tight, and I don't even know what popped off there. I'll have to figure that out here in a second. And then the hands, we'll go over it. Wrist swivel, hinge outward. Thumb is on a ball peg with a secondary hinge, or primary hinge and secondary hinge. Fingers are on ball pegs. They will splay out, which is nice. You get the full bend, primary hinge, secondary hinge, plus the swivel at the base. So all of that works nice. All right, this shoulder, obviously the range is going to be different because you got all this. Now you can split this and put this in like the cartoon look, which I think is even dumber. But you can do it if you want to. I am not. It's not the firmest connection in the world, but you can get about to there, which I guess given the blades is fine. And then you can ratchet all the way around until you bump into something. And then we have to turn this back around. And this elbow ratchet works much smoother. Gets you up to 90 degrees. No issues there. Wrist swivel, fingers and all that work the same as does the wrist. So that works nice. Okay, let's keep it moving, shall we please? All right, waist swivel, that's also ratcheted. No ab crunch because of the way it connects. That makes sense. The hips are going to be the same. Let me see if I can't get this arm out of the way. So you're going to get pretty much the full Van Dam. And we can back the camera out a taste. And lower it a little bit. Sorry about this. Okay, so that works nicely. That's going to be the same on the other side. And then the hips work similarly to the robots, so that one panel folds underneath and gets you the full range forward. And the full range backward. And it's starting to come undone, and that's just because of the strength of the ratchets. It's actually a pretty stable and holds its structural integrity fairly well. My review is not doing that justice. It has its issues, but those aren't it. All right, we'll take a look at the lower part of the legs here. These should work similarly, but let's try it. So, single hinged knee. Get you 90 degrees. I gotta tab this back in when I get a chance, but single hinge 90 degree, get you maybe even slightly more than 90 degrees. And then the ankles, no ankle tilt up or down, but you do get the full rocker. This one is coming apart, but take my word for it, you get the full rocker. And then we'll take a look at the back before I have to clean all this up. And this isn't, I know this doesn't make this combiner look great when I'm doing all this and it's falling apart, but this is pretty consistent with reviewing a combiner. It has a tendency to do this stuff as you're manipulating it. The way that I am anyway, which is to kind of really try to show you the full extent of range. Okay, there's all sorts of like holes and stuff in here to peg their individual weapons in. In fact, I have blast-offs handy. I think his is meant to go here on the side. So you can store all the weapons. It's clean as a whistle from the back. It's not bad, man. I just think that it's not going to really satisfy anyone fully. Does that make sense? Like the people that wanted a cartoon accurate Bruticus, like a super, line for line cartoon accurate Bruticus, it's not going to satisfy them because of the color. They'll have to buy the upgrade kit, even though they bought all the pieces already with the individual bots. And then it's not going to satisfy people like me that don't really want it to look like the cartoon. They want it to look more inspired by the cartoon because it looks so cartoon that it looks a little goofy to me. But you can make the argument that it's goofy in all the right ways if you want the cartoon look, which I get also. Let me clean this up and we'll do some size comparisons. Size comparison wise, there he is with the MMC blast off as well as Elbows McGee from Fans Toys. And he's a big bot and he's gonna fit in just fine scale wise with your Masterpiece collection, no doubt about it. But anyway, I think you can see it if you give me a little bit of leniency or grace, or maybe not even grace, but at least benefit of the doubt, like the difference in the way that like a metallic color pops against that it's just a different ball game to me. But it's a decision they went with, and a lot of people dig it, so. But I just think it would have looked that much more powerful had they not. There it is with a Carbot and like a quote-unquote Voyager, for lack of a better term. So once again, like it's going to fit in perfectly and tower over like, the Carbots and stuff, which is great. Lastly, there he is with my, next to my Zeta Bruticus and my Toy World Devastator. And, yeah, man, like I just can't do it. I can't do it. My it's not the greatest light on their heads and stuff, but like my look, this Magic Square Bruticus is infinitely stronger in its build and integrity than this Zeta Bruticus. But to me, it just doesn't look as mean, man. It just doesn't look like it should be taken as seriously. And of course my Zeta's posed and everything, and I get that. There's just something about it, dude. Like, and I don't think you're wrong if you love that. If you love this Magic Square look, it's just not the look I'm going for, or the look that I prefer. But yeah, I thought that might be interesting to see them next to each other. And lastly, there he is next to the Fans Toys Minosaur, and I don't think that looks good either. And I'll tell you why. I think that this Bruticus might look really good with that X-Transbots Devastator. Like, it's just so cartoony. Like, even this Minosaur isn't that cartoony. You know what I mean? And it just stands out. So I had the Minosaur down because I wanted to swap places, and I'm going to put my DX9, I think, back on my proper shelf and move this somewhere else. But I think that it just doesn't quite fit in, even with the kind of Fans Toys aesthetic of combiners, if that's what you're going for, you know. So I don't know, buddy. I don't know. It's you know, aesthetics are in the eye of the beholder for sure, but that's how I feel. Final thoughts-wise, let's start with the negatives. I'm going to get the easy ones right out of the way. No gun. Too much D-eyes-Y required for the light-up gimmick, and without the light-up gimmick, the eyes look dead. You don't need to have dead eyes to have a light-up gimmick. We know this. We've seen other companies do it. It works just fine. Just use proper materials. They gave you a super hyper-tuned G1 Bruticus and then gave you the wrong colors. Which sucks, and I feel your pain, and there's no way around it, because in order to get the pieces, you had to buy the combiner parts. So now you're stuck with combiner parts that you don't want. That's a bummer. The connection point for Vortex is not great. Even just getting him in this very simple pose here, the arm did fall off on me because it doesn't like lock in, it just slides in. There's a lot of strong ratchets and a lot of weak connections. And as a result, when you go to manipulate the ratchets, you will notice some of this stuff start to come apart on you. Just requires you to clean it up, but still kind of a pain. Speaking of a pain, getting that whole Bruticus parts forming piece to clip around Onslaught, huge pain. He also still manages to be pretty top heavy. He's going to work great in every A pose. When you go to get him in the more extreme poses, you better have him on a bit of a tension surface or put some rubber on his feet to keep it. You can see how straight I had to keep Swindle's leg in order to sort of keep all that balanced for just this minuscule action pose. And I think that's all I got. Moving on to the positives, there is a ton of character that comes through in this guy. It's that goofiness of the cartoon. That's not lost on me. The goofiness comes through. I just don't like my Bruticus to be goofy. But I know a lot of you do, and it does come through. There are some easy connection points. Now I'm getting ready to say this, and you'll see that Swindle's already coming apart, but I just don't have the patience to put it back together right now. But latching Swindle on, latching Brawl on, even Vortex for what it's worth, and if you use that way I showed you with the torso and the pelvis, that's pretty easy as well. Great range of motion. Even with all that stuff on his shoulders, he still gets pretty good range. More than you would expect anyway. 90-degree elbows at both sides, waist swivel, full range hips, 90-degree knees, full range ankle rockers. Like, there's a lot of good there. The structural integrity, once you have it together and it's in an A pose, is really, really, really quite well done. It just feels a little short of the bullseye. So I can recommend it, but it is a soft recommend. I think there's potential for this to get swapped out, but that doesn't make it bad. It just doesn't make it outstanding. It's standing, and I think that's good enough. Hope that helps. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.